I got a chance to try Marvel Rivals during its alpha playtest, and I wanted to give you guys my honest thoughts and opinions on a game that I think is going to be very successful. A number of people online have accused this game of being a clone of Overwatch and Overwatch 2, and there are clearly some similar design elements, so let's just go ahead and talk about what they are. Marvel Rivals is a 6v6 team shooter game, while the original Overwatch was a 6v6 shooter game. Not to be confused with Overwatch 2, which opted for a 5v5 game mode, with the intention of removing one tank from each team to speed up games. However, this decision was extremely divisive and it split the community, so there's that. Another similarity to the Overwatch games is the three categories of champions: support, damage, and tanks. And if we're going to talk about clones, let's be real. Both of these games are an evolution of Team Fortress 2, so if we're going to talk about gaming history, we can't leave out that critical note. Team Fortress 2 is a multiplayer battle arena that has a variety of roles to play, including DPS characters and even medics. Sound familiar? Anyway, in all honesty, I haven't played a ton of Overwatch, but I can say the maps do feel pretty similar to Marvel Rivals. Maybe that's because both games have relatively generic maps with an emphasis on the gameplay rather than the map design. But either way, I like that Marvel Rivals added environmental damage so you can chip away at parts of the map to get at an opponent. The game's developer is a Chinese company named NetEase, who helped distribute Chinese versions of Blizzard's games like World of Warcraft, StarCraft 2, and yes, even Overwatch from 2008 to 2023. So not only are there similarities, but there's also a history between these two companies. In August of 2023, NetEase launched a new American studio led by Bethesda and BioWare veterans. So NetEase might be new to making games, but they've been in the gaming industry for quite a while. This is their first big swing, and honestly, I wish them luck, because the potential of their success, whether or not Marvel Rivals actually becomes a massive hit, which personally I think it will, is good and necessary pressure for the large players in the industry who often don't listen to player bases and often put out the same products while simultaneously trying insane cash grabs and hoping for better results. Moving on. It may be controversial to say, but based on the 2 full days of the alpha playtesting I got to do, I think this game is going to be huge. It takes the Overwatch formula and even kind of expands on it in a couple of different ways. First off, the barrier to entry for Overwatch is far higher for a new player. Looking at the selection screen for the first time, I felt uneasy about learning a bunch of new characters. There's so many of them, and I don't know any of their stories. This guy sort of looks like a shooter, I guess. This one is probably a tank. In contrast, Marvel has some of the most recognizable IP in the entire world. As I jumped into Marvel Rivals, I knew Iron Man was going to be able to fly across the map, while Hulk was going to do what he does best: Hulk smash! Even though I'd never played this game, I was familiar with these characters, which lent itself to learning the game more quickly. But here's the rub. The biggest difference between Overwatch and Marvel Rivals is that Overwatch and Overwatch 2 are first-person shooter games, and Marvel Rivals is a third-person shooter game. This may not seem like a big difference, but it's actually massive. Imagine trying to spin around as Black Panther or swing around as Spider-Man in first person. Grab a paper bag, you're gonna puke your brains out. Alternatively, by going with the third-person perspective, I believe the developers have a lot more room to be creative with powers and abilities. Plus, we've seen widespread success with games like Fortnite in this format. Playing as your favorite familiar Marvel superheroes in an explosive battle arena is incredibly satisfying. Each hero has certain strengths and weaknesses that you have to consider when building your team composition. Marvel Rivals has 3 different champion categorizations: Vanguards, Duelists, and Strategists. Vanguards are your traditional tanks. These are characters like the Hulk, Groot, who's over here playing Fortnite, Doctor Strange, and Magneto. Beefy boys that can help you push for objectives by taking most of the damage for your team. But it's not just a boys club. We've also got Penny Parker, an alternate version of Peter Parker in a robotic suit who can hold it down. Duelists, as you may have guessed, are the DPS characters that output a ton of damage per second. This list includes the majority of heroes in the game. On this list are Spider-Man, Iron Man, Star-Lord, Hela, Magic, Scarlet Witch, the Punisher, Black Panther, Namor, and Storm. Your strategists are your healers. They include Loki, Mantis, Rocket Raccoon, and Luna Snow. I have a feeling both Loki and Rocket are going to be nerfed after this first alpha playtest because they are both capable of outputting a ton of damage in addition to doing quite a lot of healing. Obviously the game is still in its early stages, but here are a few characters that I'm really enjoying playing. First off, there's Doctor Strange. He can temporarily freeze enemies with his Eye of Agamotto ultimate ability that can create some huge team plays. His portal ability seems really cool as well, and I think that'll also let you get the drop on your opponents. Magic feels like she was pulled straight out of Devil May Cry. She dashes around the map creating portals and coming out swinging her massive sword. Her ultimate turns her into her demonic alter ego, Rothschild, who has no problem raising hell. And how could you not have fun playing Iron Man? He flies around the map attacking opponents from insane aerial angles. Iron Man's ult launches a pulsed cannon blast that eviscerates all opponents within the radius. The Hulk leaps into battle, throwing fists like he's in a mosh pit. If the Hulk's health gets knocked down to 0, instead of dying he reverts back to Bruce Banner. He might look scrawny, but don't sleep on Banner's laser pistol, or you might just get sniped. Wanda, aka the Scarlet Witch, can shred opponents. Wanda's primary ability is very strong. It reminds me of when she tore apart Mr. Fantastic. The Scarlet Witch's ultimate, Reality Erasure, feels like a nod to WandaVision, which I think is really cool. It is incredibly strong. It takes about 5 seconds to get off, but if you do, you eviscerate everybody within the radius. The only problem is there are a number of characters that are pretty good at countering her, in particular Spider-Man. The Punisher doesn't care what game you're playing because he's playing Call of Duty. His primary attack is an automatic rifle that easily takes down opponents, but he's got a variety of weapons in his arsenal. He can create a culling turret that blasts enemies to bits, and his ultimate are 2 fully automatic Gatling guns that aren't messing around. Oftentimes when games come to market before they are ready for launch, they are usually littered with bugs and not in great shape. New, highly hyped maps may not be available until weeks after the promised deadline, and all sorts of other issues may arise. This was not the case for Marvel Rivals. This game had its stuff together. As soon as I logged into the playtest, I could already go to the practice range, I could battle other opponents online, they even had a cash tournament. The game was in good shape. As someone who has seen many games fail because they were rushed to market, looking at you DC Dual Force, I can say this was a refreshing experience. Sure, there were buggy moments here and there, like when my computer almost crashed every time Doctor Strange opened a portal. Like many new games, the characters definitely need to be balanced. Some characters are so strong, they are able to easily melt squishy opponents in mere seconds. Some of the healers probably need to see their damage reduced slightly, because having a hero that can both heal a bunch and get 20 kills in a game feels a little bit OP. But you know, that's above my pay grade. And the exciting thing is they're still adding new characters. We just got a preview of both Venom and Adam Warlock, so I'm really excited to see what's around the corner. As the game moves forward, I'm going to be doing a series of sneak peek videos looking at each character from Marvel Rivals in depth. So make sure to like this video and click the subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos. Plus, it really helps with the algorithm. I'm Super Bob, thanks for watching Legends, and I'll catch you next time.